Morning, everybody, and welcome to roundtable discussion here on mycountylink.com as some of the wise old folks here in Darke County take a look at different things going on around town and around the area here. And we're glad you could join us on what's just a first day of December. And boy, is it cold and rainy and miserable.
But no snow.
But no snow. And we might as well get off the start here by wishing Versailles Tigers football team well today.
Sure.
We're taping this at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. I think they kick off at 10:30 up in
10:30.
Canton, if I'm not mistaken. And so good luck to the Tigers as they look for what, their 7th state title, I think it is, if I remember correctly. So anyhow, good luck to them. Joined today by Gaylen Blosser, as always, Ty House, Alex Warner here, and then Mike Stegall and Nick Schmidt here on the camera. And so we'll talk about some different things going on around, but mostly today we're going to try not to make fools of ourselves. We sometimes rely on suggestions by people of topics of interest, and I'm not sure if it's a topic of interest, but we'll find out. Jim Anderson.
This is Jim Anderson's fault.
If things go well, it's our credit. If things go bad, we know who to blame. Jim Anderson, right? Anyhow, Jim said something about, why don't you go through some old sayings that people talk about or use all the time, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the origins of how those sayings came to be. And one of those, we'll just kind of give you an example, and then we're going to break down. We got 30-some, and I think Ty brought in some, so we'll probably have close to 40. And we'll see if we can struggle our way through all these old sayings and how they came into being. And Gaylen, I think we'll just give them an example. Dead ringer. How did dead ringer come about?
Well, my understanding is back in the old days when someone would pass away and they'd bury them, they didn't embalm them, and they would come back to life when they were buried, and then later they'd dig them up and check, and they'd the fingernail scratching.
Yeah, right.
So I guess they took a string and put a bell down in there, or a bell above, and a string, so if someone was buried and come back to life, they could ring that bell. And so the term
Dead
dead ringer.
Or saved by the bell.
Saved by the
Right.
bell.
Saved by the bell. I think they wrapped a string around their finger or something. And yeah, and then what was the other one? You said graveyard shift?
Graveyard shift came from the gentleman that had to sit above it for a day or two in case the bell rang, so they could dig him back up.
Yeah. So dead ringer, saved by the bell. So those are old sayings that we're going to kind of take a look at some of the origins there. Each one of us is going to take 5 at a time. We'll kind of work our way through this. And I'm sure we'll throw in a lot of witty remarks as we go through this whole thing.
Wisdom remarks.
Wisdom remarks. Yeah, we're glad you could join us, and we'll see if we can get through all of these sayings here. So I'll start out. So here's one: bury the hatchet.
Yep.
Bury the hatchet. That means you're going to end a quarrel, or you're going to, become friendly. And that came about between negotiations between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. And so to make sure nobody got a little out of control, the first thing they did when they had a meeting was they literally buried all their weapons, including burying the hatchet. So bury the hatchet.
I'm sure Mike has never had to bury a hatchet.
Oh, Lord.
I wanted to bury a couple people's skulls, but
Yeah, you got a lot of hatchets there. You go to Costco,
Well-
get the hatchets for you.
I was going to say, when you had commission meetings and probably township trustee meetings, you probably had people check their guns at the door. Hey, here's another one: cold feet, loss of nerve or confidence, and that means that maybe the footwear wasn't the greatest back in the old days, and so warriors that had cold feet literally had trouble getting into battle because they couldn't get those feet
their
moving.
feet were cold.
Had frozen toes, yeah. You hear some of the stories about some of these guys trying to evade capture and so forth. They've taken their shoes off and they're out in the middle of snowstorms with just bare feet. And God, I can't even imagine that. Here's another one: bigwig. Like we always know that Ty and Ty and Mike are bigwigs in the
Mike's the
political
biggest
arena here and so
yeah,
forth.
that's us.
Mike's
They
the
called you
biggest
big something. I know that. Well, bigwig, of course, a lot of this stuff comes from England, of course, because of the English settling the U.S. And remember, they always wore those wigs, the lawyers did, and so forth, and that was the style of fashion. So the bigger the wig, the more important person you were. So we know that Gaylen's the big wig here at mycountylink.com.
He needs a wig.
He needs one.
And at least hair. What's wrong?
they still do that. The British still do that in the Bahamas and stuff. We were down there one time, and I just walked in on a court proceeding, and the judge had a wig on, a fake wig with the
Really?
Yeah.
With the
They
curls
still-
and
they
the
still
whole
do that,
bit?
yeah.
The English do that even today.
Yeah, I think they
The
do.
barristers, they go in as a
Yeah, they
keep
do.
themselves, part of the process.
Yeah.
Are they always white hair?
Normally, that's the only ones I've ever seen, it's always been white.
I wanna see the judge that comes in with a red hat on. That'd be kinda interesting.
If I was the guilty person, I'd be worried.
Yeah,
Hey, here's one we hear. In fact, I think there was a business there on Ohio Street called Raining Cats and Dogs
yeah.
Salon or
Yeah, it
something,
was-
right?
Only spelled raining, R-E-I-G-N.
Yes, yes. So Raining Cats and Dogs, and I mean, today you can almost take a look. I think later on it's gonna start pouring a little bit more. But it means rain very hard. So in 16th century England, they had thatched roofs, and thatch being, of course, twigs and whatever they could come up with to create a barrier from rain. Well, that was one warm spot where cats and dogs and different pets could go, probably rats and rodents and everything else. They'd go hide that and they'd stay warm. Well, if it started raining real hard, that would wash that away, and literally cats and dogs would come flying down off of the roofs of these houses or huts or whatever, and so that's where the phrase raining cats and dogs came from.
Well, you mentioned that was a hair salon or something here in town. My favorite hair salon, I saw this in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure there's others.
Saloon or
Or
salon?
salon.
Oh, yeah, well, you've been
Tell
spending
me
your
where your
time.
mind's at today.
My favorite one I ever saw was curl up and die.
Curl up at DYE.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I hadn't heard that one before. Hey, then the last one I'm gonna cover here to get things rolling is don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You don't wanna find something, some fault with something that somebody gave you as a gift or favor, and of course, that's in the old days, and maybe even still today, I'm sure. That's how you know how healthy a horse is at the horse's age. You just, pry their jaws open, it's kinda like rings on a
Yeah.
tree, kinda like what the teeth are, tells you how kind of shape the horse is in, as well as how old that horse is. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yes.
Okay, Mike, you wanna take 5 of them there at the end?
Yeah, okay, the next one's barking up the wrong tree. Now, this means you're going after something that's wrong, or you're misguided or whatever, and that comes from hunting dogs, who used to, you send them out, they'd be prey, they chase prey and stuff, and every once in a while, they get one that go up the wrong tree, and that's where that comes from. They're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, the squirrel or something had gone on another tree, and
They
they're
jumped over another
saying,
one, they're still barking at this one.
squirrel's laughing
Yeah.
from the other oak tree.
The other one's turn a blind eye. Now, this means you pretend not to notice something. British naval hero Horatio Nelson used his blind eye to look through his telescope, thus avoiding signals from his superiors who wanted him to withdraw from battle. He attacked nevertheless and was victorious. So that's where that comes. I
I think he literally was blind in one eye.
yeah.
He got injured in
Yeah,
that battle.
Nelson.
That battle, he got hurt in his eye, so he
Yeah.
couldn't see out of it, so.
And that means he didn't have to respond to
Yeah.
his superior's order.
And if you ever get to England, you must go to Trafalgar Square and see his statue.
Oh, really?
It's
Yeah.
really cool, yeah.
I've been there, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Bite the bullet. You decide to do something difficult or unpleasant that you've been putting off. Like, we should have told Jim Anderson about this. Anyway.
Again, we apologize, please, Jim Anderson.
Yeah. With no anesthesia while performing surgeries during battles, patients were made to bite down on a bullet or a cloth. I've seen that done
Or
too.
belts.
Yeah, or felt or whatever, to distract themselves from the pain. They also would try to every once in a while, usually that was preceded by a shot of whiskey. They usually
Yeah.
made them drink a little bit of whiskey to try to help. But that's
Well,
what
I
that's
can't imagine, you hear stories like, especially like in, say, the Civil War.
Yeah.
Because by the time
Yeah.
World War I came around, they got into ether and stuff like that. But man, I just can't imagine. They called them sawbones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The doctors on the
That's literally
battlefield.
what they did.
They just sawed bones off those guys who were biting bullets or biting down on leather straps.
And actually, they had a lot of whiskey around the camps, and it wasn't necessarily for drinking. They used that as the disinfectant. So if you cut somebody's leg off on the table,
Yeah,
then the next guy that was going to come up, they just throw some whiskey on it, and
yeah.
hope that was.
You hear stories where there's piles of
Like
legs,
terrible.
arms outside these
Oh yeah, it's
heads.
terrible.
Jeez.
And finally, one for the road. Apparently, Gaylen knows a little more about this, going to all these saloons. It's the final drink before leaving a place. And during the Middle Ages, condemned prisoners were taken to their execution site, but only after allowed to stop at a pub for one final drink.
So they
Now,
got-
that's nice.
They got one for the road.
One for the road.
And when I kind of looked that one up, they had the central jail in London. They'd go down this one road to the execution site, but they did have that pub on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Did they say what was the favorite drink?
probably whiskey.
Probably
Mead.
or rum.
Or rum, yeah.
There is one other, probably the saying that everybody knows the most of, and I'm sure everybody knows the meaning of it, but it's an old, being from, having all my family from the South and stuff, I heard a lot of that growing up. But the one I always thought was the funniest was, boy, Gaylen, you're a great guy, bless your little heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah.
Where'd
That
that come
means,
from?
that comes from down south, it means that they would say, you know, everybody has a purpose. But if you're dumber than a post, you know, God's gonna have to take care of you and bless you.
Bless your little
Yeah,
heart.
bless your little heart. You know, he's a great guy, but bless his little heart.
Hey, do you wanna do that the honeymoon too? That gives you 5 there.
All righty, a holiday spent together by a newlywed couple, that's a honeymoon, right? Well, according to tradition, a newly married couple would have to drink a beverage with honey for an entire month. That was to promote fertility and good luck,
You still, at this age, you still call your wife honey?
among other things, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure she calls you things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the honeymoon, because
Yeah.
a month, the
Right.
cycle of the moon, right?
Right.
There you go. Okay, whatever. You want to take some time? You got some of your own.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Whatever
throw
you got.
one out here, before I go to the one you read.
Okay.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's an old proverb from Germany, and what it meant is an avoidable error in which something good or a value is eliminated when trying to get rid of something unwanted. So be careful what you get rid of. Instead of the whole, there might be something good in it. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'll come back.
You know, I saw something on that too, because I'd gone through a list of these, and they said a lot of times water was a little scarce, and so they'd fill a tub up with water, and everybody'd take a bath in it.
But the dad went first, is like pecking
Yep.
order, and the baby was the last one.
Baby was the last one, and the water was getting dirty by that time, and all of a sudden that kid disappeared.
Yes.
So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right. Okay, the next one, break a leg. It means good luck. If you wish someone good luck, it would tempt evil spirits in the old days. So you start wishing each other to break a leg in order for them not to break one.
Yeah, kind of reverse psychology
Right.
there, I think.
That's right.
I wonder if that ever worked.
I don't know.
How would you feel if you told somebody to break a leg and they did?
Ooh. That'd be pretty bad, wouldn't it?
If I remember,
Got on the wrong side of the bed.
Lincoln's assassin, John Wilkes Booth, remember he shot
Yep.
Lincoln from behind, he jumped off the
He broke his
balcony, and he
ankle,
broke his leg or ankle, limped across the stage, and,
And
yeah.
fixed by Dr. Mudd, that's why your name is Mudd.
That's right.
Hey,
Dr. Howard Mudd, I believe it was.
I knew I had him here for a reason
Yeah.
today. Look
There
at
we
you.
go. That's not on this one, that's a bonus point for everybody out there. Give the cold shoulder, as to reject or to be deliberately unfriendly. In the old days in England, after feasting, the host would give guests a cold piece of meat from the shoulder of a beef or pork as a way of showing it was time for everyone to get out of Dodge or leave.
Boy, you get that a lot, don't you, Mike?
I don't know what it's like to eat.
Yeah, man, to buy
baked meat, you know?
You used to get
Yeah.
wheat water.
Now I know.
Give the cold shoulder.
Yes.
Give the cold shoulder. Got a couple more there?
Yep, riding shotgun, used to claim the right to sit in the front passenger seat. The passenger of an old-fashioned stagecoach who sat next to the driver with a shotgun to protect against attackers and robbers along the way.
So now every little kid under the age of 10 or 12, you always call shotgun,
Yeah,
right?
shotgun.
That's right.
I always think about it as, riding shotgun on a passenger or stagecoach and so forth. I always think about either Roy Rogers, some of those old movies,
Oh,
Gene
yeah.
Autry and those guys.
Yeah.
You always got the guy up there.
Sitting
you
with a
know,
shotgun, always
And
with a
that coach is bouncing up down, and these guys are shooting guys from 200 yards out, just blowing them away. And I'm thinking, there's no way. There's no way they're that good a shooters. Got one more there?
Yep, I got crocodile tears. Tears are expressions of sorrow or insincere. Came from a 14th century cookbook that says crocodiles shed tears while eating a man.
Yeah, like
That's
they were
the-
so sad that they were eating the guy. They just were crying
Yep.
for him.
Yeah, I bet that's what it was.
Yeah,
Eyes
I-
can actually do water.
You
So
know,
that's what they do.
crocodiles are really empathetic, I guess, or something, or pathetic, one of the two.
Okay, before you take
Galen,
the
what you
bucket,
got
you're
there?
up.
Oh,
Good. Take us
okay.
from there with the kick the bucket.
Kick the bucket. That's to die. In the old slaughterhouse, people would place a bucket under the animal while it was positioned on a pulley. While trying to adjust the animal, the cow would kick out its legs and therefore kick the bucket before being killed.
Yeah. I mean, it's surprising how many people say, you kick the
Yeah,
bucket.
he kicked the bucket.
You kicked the bucket.
You don't hear that much anymore though, really.
Hey, this
The next one, I'm gonna be defer to Mike.
Yeah, you take this one,
Yeah,
because he's
next
our
one, Mike.
cigar aficionado
Well, it's
here.
close but no cigar. I mean, almost but not quite successful. I don't know of anybody here that's ever been that way, but
Yeah.
in the late
not
19th
even
century,
close.
carnival games were targeted to adults and not children. The winners would get a cigar as a prize instead of a stuffed animal. If the person was close to winning but didn't succeed, it was
Close but no cigar.
Yeah.
Close but no, I bet those were quality cigars too, they were passing out.
5
yeah,
cent. Yeah, we had one president that actually said, you know, what this country needs is a good 5-cent cigar.
That's right, I forget
And
who that was.
and now I think most people would agree that this country needs a good $5 cigar.
Hey, you're the cigar guy, so what's
Yeah.
some of your favorites?
My favorite all-time cigar right now is, it's by a company, it's in Santo Domingo, it's called La Perla Habana, and they make a cigar called a Black Pearl Morado. It's 93 rated by Cigar Aficionado.
What do you mean 93 out of 100?
Out of 100, yeah. Anything over like 80, you must have in your humidor. But this is a 93 rated, and it's most reasonable. It's about $5 a stick, so,
Okay,
yeah, that's my favorite.
because you're the cigar smoker. Have you ever smoked a cigar?
No, I haven't. But how long will that cigar last once you light it?
About an hour.
Really?
Can you stop in the middle at half an hour, put it out, and then light it again the next day?
I do, yeah.
Because I need to be
It
cheap.
doesn't,
He's
it
cheap.
doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't help the flavor at all.
It
But,
doesn't?
But no, but if you get a good cigar that's like a La Perla Habana, you can smoke it, you can hold it for 10, 15 minutes, it still burns. That way you know it's a good one. And it'll be an even burn all the way around, it'll have a nice white ash, and it'll stay on until it gets about that long.
Okay.
Of course,
There we go.
Mr. Marshall here in town,
John
anytime you
Marshall.
see him, always had a cigar in his mouth, but
Lawyer
I've
John
never,
Marshall.
He's
Right.
never smoked
I've
one.
never seen him smoke
No,
a
he
cigar.
chews them.
It was a Columbo in later years.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever had to smoke a cigar?
Way back when, I mean, it's like at a party for a bachelor party. And so I had some Cubans
Yeah.
they got, so, yeah.
Yeah, there's a big controversy about Cuban cigars, thinking they're still the best. They're not, actually. The best ones come from Nicaragua, Santo Domingo, because when Castro took over, the good cigar growers and all the good tobacco growers, they left. They took their seed and they went someplace else because they didn't want to be nationalized. So most of them are there. Cuban cigars are okay, I guess, but they have a mystique that they
Yeah, I was gonna
really don't
say.
need to have.
Talking about cigars, you ever tried chewing tobacco?
No.
Never.
We had
I don't
chewing
like it.
tobacco for a pony, and it's like a treat for him. So me and my brother were out there one day, you know, it smells good. So we put a little piece in our mouth, and my golly, spit and puke and barf. But we got rid of worms.
Snuff was the same.
You didn't have worms the rest of your life,
Never had
right?
worms.
You know, my dad never smoked a cigar, but he'd chew one too. And he'd always tell people, well, he said, you know, they're good to keep worms away. So that's what I tell people. It keeps worms away.
You know, I like the smell of a good cigar. I've never really gotten into it. I think in college we had Swisher Sweets,
Oh,
Oh,
little
my God,
rum
yeah.
dipped cherry soaked little
Oh, yeah.
cigarillos or something. And yeah, we'd sit on the front porch and smoke those and watch the co-eds walk by, I think, at the fraternity house. But,
Cool guy.
yeah, cool guy with a Swisher Sweets, yeah. Gaylen, what else you got?
Well, after smoking a cigar, Mike wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. To start the day off in a bad temper. Throughout history, the left side of basically anything was considered the evil side, so waking up on the left side of the bed was considered a sign of bad luck. Homeowners would push the left side of the bed against the walls, so people would have to get out on the right side.
Get out on the right side, you got up on the right side of the bed.
Yeah, that's right.
I tell you, people in that left stuff, you got to see a lot of sayings where left is pretty much
Yeah.
the wrong side or evil side. I guess that's because they're outgunned, what, 85% of people are right-handed, right? So
Yeah.
there's 15%, they got
Anybody here left-handed?
No,
Uh,
no.
I do a lot of things left-handed.
I got my mom's left-handed, my granddaughter's left-handed, and that's about the extent of it. I guess there's one every generation come through.
Yeah. Like I say, I do a lot of stuff left-handed, but as far as eating and writing or throwing, it's all right.
When you was working, I'm sure your left hand had to work as well as your right hand.
Yeah, I was pretty ambidextrous on that
Really,
stuff.
I'm sure it did, yeah.
Pretty ambidextrous.
Okay, the next one, butter someone up. Flat or otherwise, Ingratiate oneself to someone. In ancient India, people used to throw balls of clarified butter at statues of gods in order to seek a favor.
I have no idea how that ever would have gotten started.
I don't either, but I think that's a thing we should restart.
Yeah, butter.
Oh, you think it don't go on?
You know, when I copied that down, I should have looked it up. I'm not sure. What is clarified butter?
I don't
Anybody
know.
know?
I have no idea. Obviously, something's been taken out.
You folks
I'm
out
sure.
there, that's your homework assignment.
Obviously,
Find
something's
out
been
what
taken out.
clarified
of it.
is.
You
I
know.
don't know what they did. But
Maybe it was white
Yeah.
instead of yellow.
let's do one more there, Gaylen.
Put a sock in it.
That's why I thought of you.
Exactly. So the chat here should be
Check
heard,
mark
not
Gaylen.
seen.
Yeah.
Seen, heard, not seen. Put a sock in it. Stop talking. Old gramophones had no volume control, so to lower the sound, you used a woolen socks in the horn of the device. So you shove that sock in there.
Had that little Dalmatian puppy. If you see that
RCA.
thing, RCA, they had the
Right.
big gramophone with the big speaker
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah.
That puppy standing there listening to it and so forth. And put a sock in it.
Yeah.
Put a sock in it. Yeah. Hey, I'll take a couple here and then we'll just keep rotating through here. Son of a gun. Okay, that's an affectionate way. I'm not sure that's what it is, but an affectionate way of addressing someone. So sailors would sometimes take their wives on long ocean voyages. The most secluded place on a warship was between the cannons of the ship's gun deck. So any kid that was born, they'd take the mother-to-be, they'd put her on the gun deck, give her a little, solitude there, and so right away, if it's a little boy, he became a son of a gun. Son of a gun. This is one you hear quite a bit, especially with politicians, I think. Born with a silver spoon in your mouth means be born in a wealthy family of high social standing. An old tradition for a godparent was to gift a silver spoon to a newly christened child. Now, not everyone could afford this type of luxury gift, so those who did receive a spoon were considered to be wealthy or even spoiled. So, you got us born with a silver spoon in your mouth. What was it? Get back to Ohio State, Michigan football game here, kind of wrap that up. Yeah, I know, it hurt you, didn't it? Jim Harbaugh, I think one of his quotes was something, it was the same thing he said of Ryan Day, kind of referring to that silver spoon in the mouth,
He's
or,
born on-
started on third base,
Yeah.
because he was handed the reins to,
Right.
yeah.
He was started on third base, but at least he didn't steal it.
Good point.
That's good.
Good, I tell you, he's cool, man. I'm glad you came
Heard
along
that
today.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
you heard that someplace. How about this one? Get one's goat. Mike, you're pretty familiar with that. You're always irritate someone. Goats used to be.
That would be me.
Yeah, and I didn't know this. Goats used to be placed in racehorses' stalls before big races because it calmed the racehorse down. And so rival owners would sometimes steal these goats, upsetting their rivals' horses, so they got the goat. Get the goat. Get one's goat. So I didn't know that at all. Then last one here, and then we'll flip it back over to Mike here. My ears are burning. How many people come up and say, hey, were your ears burning the other day? Well, I don't know, good or bad. Well, there is a reason for that. Ears are burning means being subconsciously aware of being criticized or talked about. Ancient Romans thought burning sensations in various organs had different meanings. They thought if your left ear, again that left, if your left ear was burning, it meant evil intent, so somebody was criticizing you. While if the right ear was burning, you were actually being praised. All I knew is my left ear's always sore. Ears are burning. I thought you'd like this nice one because it's got yardage involved in it.
Yeah.
Mr. Official.
The whole 9 yards. That means to do everything possible you can do. And during World War II, in most of the planes, fighter pilots would carry a 9-yard load of ammunition on a belt, on this belt. And when the fighter pilot used all of it on one target, then they would give the whole 9 yards.
The whole 9
That's where it came
yards.
from,
The
yeah.
whole 9 yards.
And then sleep tight. That means to sleep well. Now, in Shakespeare's time, mattresses were secured by ropes, making them for a well-sprung bed. So that's where that came from. You're supposed to sleep tight.
I assume they just stuff stuff in and then they wrap belts around it,
Yeah.
or ropes
String
around
or
it
something,
to
yeah.
hold it tight.
And if something's a piece of cake, it's something that's easily achieved. It's from the American poet Ogden Nash in 1930, who was quoted as saying, Life's a piece of cake. How about that? I did not know that one. That was a new one.
Wonder why it said cake instead
I
of
don't
easy
know.
as,
Why not
well,
pie?
easy as
Easy as
pie,
pie. Same, about the same difference, isn't it?
I would think.
Yeah.
Bad thing for
And
cake.
then, spill the beans reveals a secret information unintentionally. From ancient Greece, voting was done using beans, placed in a jar, a white bean to support someone, a black one against. Sometimes clumsy people would spill the jars, revealing classified information.
So they spilled
Spilled
the beans.
There you go.
Hey, I wonder if that had anything to do, like you heard, like somebody got blackballed?
Yeah,
I was
that's
saying the
exactly
same
what it
thing.
is.
Same
You
difference.
put a white thing in
White
if you
marble
like
or
it.
black marble.
Yeah.
So you got blackballed, yeah.
Is that still used today by some
Blackball?
Oh, yeah.
organizations?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They still do that.
they're
yeah.
probably gonna do that to this whole group after this.
Well, you know one thing, Jim Ayers is never coming out here.
We'll never find him back. Take that next one to the top, then we'll get the tie in.
Pull out all the stops. It means to make a great effort to achieve something. Organ consoles have knobs called stops that control the instrument's volume. Pulling out all those stops then would let the organist maximize the volume. And I remember the old Christian church over there on 5th Street. They used to have one over there, and he used to,
Yep.
used to have that one over there.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
remember that.
yeah, the bigger the organ, I mean, there were stops all
Oh,
over the
yes.
place. I mean, it's not only you knew how to play the
Some
keyboard,
of
you
these-
knew how to.
Cathedrals, you go in Europe or whatever, you
Yeah,
see those.
oh, they're
Beautiful.
huge organs, huge pipe organs.
We went over in Scotland one time and went to my mother's side of the family's ancestral town of about 2,000 people. And so my wife, who could play the organ, you know, she played the piano really well, but the organ she could, you know, play around with a little bit. And went in this old church and they had those stops, but you had to pump the whole thing with your
Yep.
feet, you know, to get air flowing through it. And she had a ball just pulling all those stops out that way, yeah. Pull out all the stops. Todd, you got some there?
Yeah, I'm gonna run some
Yeah,
over here.
take some of yours.
About the early bird gets the worm. And that's an English expression that appeared in 1605 book of Proverbs by William Chambers. The birds that wake up the earliest have the best chances of catching good meal, since the other birds have not awoken yet to pick the worms.
Especially
I've always wondered about the worms. Does the early worm get the bird? Anyway,
Hey, I tell you what. when
Why
it's
would
raining-
you wonder about that?
just trying to think, you know, like Stephen Wright said, you know, I wonder what the speed of dark is. Things to pause and ponder.
Yes.
If I can find the other one, bought the farm. Is to die or be killed. Seems that although the origin is uncertain, the 20th century relates to U.S. military jet pilot slang. He bought a plot and had a fatal crash, so bought the farm. Or combat soldiers wishfully wishing that they go home to farm. And their buddies would say after he got killed that, well, he bought the farm peacefully. So
Okay.
that's one there.
I've heard of, I wouldn't bet the farm on it,
Bought the farm.
but that's bought the farm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, run amok. Behave uncontrollably, from the Malaysian word amok, describing bizarre behavior of tribesmen under the influence of opium. And no, we're not Malaysian and we're not tribal people here.
That's AMOQ
Q,
too,
right,
the
yeah,
word
amok.
for Malaysia. And I guess you could say not only under the influence of opium, but we've seen some people probably coming out of some of the bars in downtown Greenville.
Running amok.
Other places running amok, I'm sure of that, yeah.
Eat humble pie. Make a humble apology and accept humiliation. In the Middle Ages, there would be a huge feast after a hunt. The lord of the manor and his close friends would eat the finest cuts of meats, while the lesser would eat a pie filled with innards and entrails, which were known as umbles. U-M-B-L-E-S.
You know, I said we'd been over in Scotland, so I got that Scottish
I know
background.
exactly what
You
you're
know where
saying.
I'm going with
I know
this, don't
exactly
you?
where you're going.
Haggis.
Haggis.
Haggis, and you talk about stuff, you know, you talk about, well, I like bologna and I like some of the lunch meats and hot dogs. You don't want to know what goes into them. You don't want to know what's in there. But I'll tell you, haggis, you definitely don't want to know what's in there.
Did you ever
Go
eat it?
ahead. Reluctantly.
Really?
You?
Did you like it?
I've had a little bit of some of the Scottish whiskey, I think, to help wash it down real fast.
Actually, I had for breakfast one morning over there, and we were with some friends, and my wife was sitting beside me, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try the haggis. She, oh my God, you know, it's sheep's innards basically boiled in a sheep's stomach's what it is.
Yeah.
She said, why are you gonna eat that? I said,
With
"Well,
oatmeal.
hell, these
Had a little
people
oatmeal.
eating it for 5,000 years, hadn't killed them. Might as well give it a shot. Actually, it's not too bad.
Did they put a lot of spice in it to kill
No.
its taste?
No, it's just,
No?
mostly just salt and pepper. It's really not bad. It sounds awful, but it's really not bad.
Yeah, you don't wanna really think what's in there, what you're eating or anything like that, but humble pie, that's right there.
Right.
Yeah, Gaylen, you wanna take it from there?
Hands down, easily and decisively, without question. From horse racing, a jockey who is far ahead can win without his hands on the reins.
So they won, hands down.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let your head down.
Hey, you know, and
Yeah, go
I,
ahead.
it's supposed to be let your hair down.
I wondered
No,
about that.
I put it wrong, it's let your hair down.
Okay, well, because I hadn't heard of let your head down.
Yeah, let
but
your
I-
hair down.
Okay, let your hair down.
I was thinking of something else when I typed that out.
English, mind your head.
Behave uninhibited.
Yeah, that too.
That too. And old Paris nobles had to wear elaborate hairdos in public, could have said hair dos, requiring long hours of preparation, in becoming a relaxing ritual after a long day to take your hair down.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
You know, I see some of these hairdos some of these ball players wear and so forth, that's got their hair in the jerry curls in there, or some of them look like they're like your thickness of your
Yeah.
thumb. Man, that's a twist, isn't it?
Yeah.
To do that, I think that'd put a lot of pressure
But if
on
you
you.
never watched any of those old movies, about Louis XIV and all them, if you've noticed, most of the men had a hair that was up real high, and you could tell that they had been, you always wondered, was that really real? That's where that came from, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah, let your hair down.
let your hair down.
All right, rule of thumb, a broadly accurate guide or principle based on experience rather than theory. From 17th century England, where a judge ruled that husbands could beat their wives with a stick if it was no wider than his thumb.
Is that still the law?
I doubt it.
I'm just asking, honey, I'm just asking, no.
Another reason why women live longer than men.
Exactly. No wider than your thumb, huh?
They use it for a lot of measurements.
Yeah, did you get a twig off a tree? That's
Yeah.
yeah. Break the ice. Do or say something to relieve tension or get conversation going when strangers meet. From using smaller ships called icebreakers to free larger ships stuck in ice.
Yeah, break the ice.
So, yeah. You want to do another?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
you're on a roll, man.
Yeah.
Mind your P's and Q's. Be careful and behave well and avoid giving offense. Type stellars of old newspapers while using individual letters that had to be called to distinguish between P's and Q's.
I can see that being
Mind your
done.
P's and Q's.
Yeah, you've seen those old print boxes or
Yeah.
printers boxes because they had to literally
Yeah.
send a word. And those guys had to be pretty good because I think they had to set those things backwards.
Yeah, they do it backwards,
Right.
They
yeah.
had to do it
And
backwards.
some of
so-
the letters back then, like you said, they really looked very close to the same,
Yeah.
looked different for sure.
Yeah, especially P's and Q's. Now, there was another thing on that P's and Q's that I didn't write down, and that's you go into a British pub, and a P was a pint, and a Q was a quart. And so after you'd had a little too many P's, or maybe it was too many Q's,
Yep.
then maybe you were offending people, so you had to mind your P's and Q's
Yep.
there too, yeah.
I
I wonder why they
remember,
didn't have sixes and nines. Mind your sixes and nines. But okay.
yeah, I remember as a kid,
No. Well, they'd be upside down, the 6 would be here and the 9 would be there,
But you
right?
put it backwards too. It could be confusing.
How well do you know Jim Anderson?
Well, you know, it's a new township thing, right? You know that, Mike.
as a kid, when I was learning, when I was real small, I remember they told us a Q had a tail on it.
As opposed to a P?
Right.
Yep, that used to.
When you're cursive writing?
Yeah, cursive.
Well, even you'd write a Q, so that was,
Yeah.
Always put a little dink on it.
yeah.
Capital Q.
What'd you call it?
Little dink. Whatever.
You guys still write in cursive?
I
Yes.
can, I do once in a while.
Do you?
No, I print.
I print everything.
Yeah.
And I print in capital
Now,
letters.
my wife has always printed, ever since I've known her, she does not write at all. Every document she signs has been printed.
Yeah, I print all capitals.
Yeah, that's my legal signature is all capital letters.
That's hers too, yeah.
You write cursive?
Mix.
Mixed?
I start, right, and then you look here at someone's mix.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So,
yeah, I know that, where was I, just read something in the paper the other day, they're trying to decide whether or not to require cursive
In school.
in schools.
mhm.
I know they've kind of gotten away from it, now they're trying to swing back to it. I asked my wife, who taught elementary school for 30-some years, and she said, I think they need to learn cursive. And
Use
I'm-
the signatures.
How do you read
sometime.
old documents if you don't?
Yeah, well, that's the trouble. Now they've got these kids coming through that didn't learn cursive, and they can't read cursive writing.
Yeah.
And
You can't
so,
read, you know, like
yeah.
old documents that you have to read.
I don't know. That's
Anymore,
what
it's more like you're writing more like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got quicker thumb. That's a rule of thumbs.
Yep.
I don't know how those guys do, how kids do that. Hey, no spring chicken. Well, that pretty much sums up
Pretty much
this
the table.
Here we
this
are.
whole table. Someone who's no longer young, but this doesn't apply to us because it says past their prime, and we're just kind of getting into
We're
it.
just
I
getting
think
in
we're
there.
just
We're
getting
getting
our
there.
prime. So young chickens were born in the spring, and so they'd sell better than those who were old chickens who'd survived through the winter because the meat was more tender, and so they get a better price for a young spring chicken. And then this one I like, go cold turkey. To quit something abruptly, like stop smoking, or hopefully, if you've been addicted to something, it's believed that during drug withdrawal, the skin of an addict turns hard to the touch, covered with goosebumps, and even becomes pale or translucent, just like that of a plucked turkey.
Never heard
So
that.
Never
go
heard that either.
cold turkey.
I have
Yeah,
never
I
heard
thought
that.
that's pretty interesting.
I have never heard that.
You got anything else?
I
Ty's
have a
got
couple more. Let's
there.
say, show your true colors.
No,
Okay, that was a nautical lingo. Lowering your colors to hide your nation's flag is a strategic move. In the battle, if you hoisted your flag high after hiding it, you were showing your true colors.
Well, didn't like Blackbeard the pirate and stuff, they'd throw
Always
up
do
different
that.
flags, and then right at the end, they'd run up
Jolly
that-
Roger.
Jolly Roger, run that
Now,
up.
steal your thunder.
Where'd that
That's
come
the
from?
18th century. That's a peevish dramatist, John Dennis, after he conceived a novel idea for sounding of thunder. Well, he had his play he put out there and the thing didn't work. Well, years later, it was used or stolen for a play called Macbeth.
Ah,
So-
so they
Stole
stole
his
his
thunder.
thunder.
So Shakespeare was a thief.
And somewhat, or else his prop guy was. He didn't know anything about it.
Did you have one more there?
Oh, I
we had-
got my-
yeah.
it
Give us
wasn't
another one
saying,
there.
So, wait,
Which one was it? Cat got your tongue?
Yeah, cat got your tongue. Someone is at a loss for words or unusually quiet. In ancient times, Egyptians would, or in Middle Eastern times, the liars apparently had their tongues removed and fed to the king's cats. Or the English used it on the boat, cat o' nine tails, that the pain was so bad that
You
people
could-
were left speechless.
So
So-
cat
I
got
don't
your
think
tongue.
that phrase has ever been used for me.
It probably should have been,
Quite a few times, probably.
maybe on this show, yeah.
And don't get caught with your pants down, we all know what that might be.
That's true. Well, hopefully we haven't offended too many people out there, and maybe you picked up something, something you didn't know, because I think we all did. So, what you got going this weekend, Gaylen?
I'm gonna go cover some basketball. We got, tonight I'll go watch Bradford boys, and tomorrow night we'll see Arcanum come to Greenville and play the
That's
Greenville
right.
boys. And,
Ty and I'll have that
Ball
ball
game
game, we'll
Saturday.
cover that, yeah. What you got going besides that? Anything else?
Pretty much that's it. We thought about going out to Bears Mill there with the walk tonight. So
Yeah, that's also out at
weather.
Shawnee Prairie.
Shawnee Prairie, so
Yeah.
one place to the other we'll be going. So anyway, that's our night, and probably Saturday a basketball game, obviously. And if we're not following grandkids playing basketball, we know what that's like.
Yeah, I know.
Soccer or whatever, it's Greenville games. Our
Yeah.
calendars are full.
The calendars full. What you got, Michael?
Most of them are gonna go out for dinner tonight with some friends, and then tomorrow night for dinner with some more friends, and then I will sit around mostly Sunday and football myself to death.
Yeah, well, how about Saturday? Got all those conference
Conference games, it should be
championships,
good.
yeah.
I'm anxious to see Alabama, Georgia. That should be.
That should be a great ball game, yeah.
By the way, you guys are wrapping up your career as announcers. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's 28 years,
28
right?
years, yeah. Bittersweet. It's time though. It's like anything
Yeah.
else, it's time. For me and Alex both, I don't speak for him here, but we talked about it. We have grandkids active now. And, they're
But-
playing the same nights that high school here at Greenville.
But did something just inside you tell you it was time to quit?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It was
You
kind of,
find that hard to believe.
well, same with officiating.
yeah, after 27 years, I can tell you exactly where I quit. It was up at Coldwater in the third quarter. Coldwater were for sales, and we had a penalty. And the guy came up and told me what it was. Okay, and I told him to mark it off. This, that, signaled the press box and walked away. And I thought, you know what? I never even thought of that. I never thought that through at all. I just did it automatically, and that scared me because I started thinking, I'm going to make a mistake one of these days, and it's going to hurt somebody. And at that point, I decided I probably had enough. It's time. I'm getting too daring. I'm not thinking anymore. I'm just reacting, and that wasn't good.
Well, you know, Ty and I, 28 years, we started out with what, just 3 games, I think it was, and passed the mic back and forth. And
Right.
we talked over the game film that they were taping for the coaches, and kind of developed from there. And it's been a ton of fun.
Sure has.
It really has. It's been we've talked about labor of love in the past, and we think we've done it mostly for the kids. It gives them memories to look back, their families, and then for those fans that just can't get to the games, it gives them something to look on too. But it's been a lot of it's been a pleasure doing it. But when we start looking at our schedules, and I've got grandkids that are 130 miles this way and 130 miles that way. He's got basically the same thing down in the Cincinnati area. It's just time to. It's just time.
You guys have done a great job. And
Well,
everything.
thank you.
Appreciate that.
But right now, it's I think you've done the whole 9 yards, and it's time to put a
The
sock
whole
in.
Hey, you'd be surprised how many people have told us to put a sock in the last 28
That's
years.
something we've heard.
It's like we've always said. We said, well, we'll try again next time, see if we got better. Well, we finally come to the realization that it ain't getting any better. This is all you get.
If somebody, can people go back and watch those? And
Oh,
if they-
yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us how to find
Yeah,
them?
you just get on YouTube and you go to The Wave, like Green Wave, The Wave at GHS, Greenville High School, Wave at GHS. And we've got all those ball games from at least the last, oh man, probably going back to 2013, 2014,
Really?
something like that. So you can call those up, football and basketball. But we've done close to, I want to say, 375 to 400 ball games that
Yeah,
way.
it's
So.
a lot.
Yeah, so it's been a lot, but it's been fun. So, well, hey, anything else going on? If not, thanks, folks, for watching this. Mike Stegall, Gaylen Blosser, Ty House, Alex Warner, Nick Schmidt here on the camera. Glad you could join us here on the roundtable discussion, and hopefully you learned something today. And if not, and you didn't have a good time watching this, blame Jim Anderson. Okay. Have a good week out there, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye now.
See ya.